This is section 4.5, problem number 25 that I'm going to talk through right now. And I wrote the problem down on my iPad. So let's go to the iPad. I'm going to turn off my video. I'm not covering anything up. So we're given this function that's defined as the definite integral from 2 to the square root of s of cosine of w to the ninth over w squared dw, and we're asked to find d prime of s. And so we're being asked to find the derivative of this. So we're going to use the second part of the fundamental theorem of calculus, the one that your book calls part 1, but I call part 2. So some books call it part 1, some part 2. And what that says is that the derivative of the definite integral from a to x of f of t dt is just equal to f of x. Like basically, to find the derivative of a definite integral where the upper limit is your variable, is your independent variable. All you have to do is plug that variable in for t, or in this case, w. One thing though about this problem is that, or one thing to pay attention to, is that instead of going from like a constant a to x, this is going from the constant 2, that part's fine, but to the square root of s, not just s or x. It's like something other than just the x, which means that we're going to have to use the chain rule version of this rule. So the chain rule version of this rule, I think I have to give myself some more space. I'll write it down here. Just says that the derivative of the definite integral from a to g of x, like where you have some function of x other than just an x, of f of t dt, this is going to be equal to f of, so now we're replacing the t with g of x, right? But then because of the chain rule, we actually have to multiply this by the derivative of the g. So this is times g prime of x. So we're going to have to use this rule because we don't just have an x in our as our upper limit. We actually have some function, in this case of s. So this is the chain rule version of the fundamental theorem of calculus, what I call part 2 of the fundamental theorem of calculus, or what some books call part 2. But again, your book refers to it as part 1. So there's the, so I'm going to go ahead and use this rule here. So I'm going to plug in the square root of s. I'll start off by plugging in the square root of s for my w's, right? I'll plug this in for my w's. So I will get cosine of the square root of s raised to the power of 9 over the square root of s squared. So that's the first thing. But then, because of the chain rule, I have to multiply this by the derivative of the square root of s. And so let's just find the derivative of the square root of s off to the side here. Oh, you know what? I'm using ddx, right? But we're dealing with s's. So I should use an s here. I should put s dds. Okay. So that ds, that's representing the independent variable, whatever it is. In this case, it's s. So I'm going to rewrite the square root of s as s to the 1/2 and then use my power rule. Here, I'll write every step. This can get like really kind of, I don't know, kind of confusing because notice like right now we're differentiating while we have been integrating. So which is why it can get kind of confusing. It's like sometimes you have to remember, what am I doing? Like, so I'm just gonna write this as 1/2 root s, which by the way, a lot of people have memorized this rule right here, that the derivative of, here, I'll write it down. A lot of people memorize this rule that the derivative of the square root of x is 1/2 root x, in order to avoid going through everything that I just went through, right? So square root of x, I don't know. Some people find it like that it comes up enough that that it's worth it to memorize it. So I get to go back up to my problem and multiply this by 1/2 root s. And that's going to be my answer. There are a couple of things that you can do to simplify this. So like one of the things you can do, I bet the homework will take the answer like this, unless they're like simplify, then they'll probably take the answer like this. But just some things that you can do to simplify this if you want to. I guess there's really not much to do, but I do notice that we have cosine of the square root of s raised to the power of 9 over, and then down below we have the square root of s squared, which is square root of s squared is just s. So we have s, and then I'll just bring I'm just going to put that in red so you know where that s came from. So we have s, oops, and then I'll just bring the 2 root s next to that. And then a couple of other things. One is that, like, this is if you just really, really want to do a lot of simplifying. One is that the square root of s to the 9th power is the same thing as, oh, never mind. Well, I was going to do some more, but I just realized I can't. But one thing that you can do is recognize that the square root of s to the 9th is the same thing as the square root of s to the 8th power times the square root of s. It's like we have 9 of these square root of s's. So and then down below we have 2s root s, and then s, the square root of s to the 8th is the same thing as s to the 4th power, because the square root of s to the 8th is s to the 8/2. And then we have root s, so this down here is just staying the same. So we finally end up with cosine of s, I'm going to put parentheses here, cosine of s to the 4th root s over 2s root s. So that's a little bit more simplifying you can do, but really no need. You can enter it the way I boxed it, and you'll probably be fine. So let's just go and see if both of these answers are accepted. I was tempted to like cancel out some s's because I have some in numerator and some in denominator, but notice the s's in the numerator are attached to the cosine. So you always have cosine of something, and I can't just like take that something away. Okay, so I'm gonna go, where is the, okay, here we are. And I will enter everything. I'm gonna enter it first, the long one that's not simplified, the non-simplified. Oh, wait. I need this to the 9th power. Now I can close my parentheses. And then the square root of s squared times 1, oops, times 1 over 2 root s. Close parentheses. So that's the non-simplified version. Let's see, simplified of 2 s root s in my denominator. And then my numerator, cosine of s to the 4th root s. And it took that too. So whichever version you prefer, you go ahead and do. Okay. I hope this helps with your version of the problem. Take care. Bye.